Good morning, friends. It's Beverly from Ball Homestead. Today we're going to make some sourdough bread. In my mixing bowl here, I have a cup of sourdough starter, and I'm going to add a heaping tablespoon of honey to that. I'm also going to add a mixture of 3 teaspoons of yeast with 3/4 cup of water, and I'm going to pour that in there, and I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of salt and mix all that together. Once we get it all good and mixed together, we're going to take it over to our KitchenAid mixer and add it to that. You don't have to have a KitchenAid, but I'll just use it for convenience. You can mix this by hand. We're going to pour this in the KitchenAid, and then we're going to add 3 cups of flour to this. My friend Michelle sent me this sourdough starter and the recipe for this bread. I've had it in my fridge, and Friday I decided it's time to make some bread. So I got it out, fed it, and we're going to make some bread today. So we added 3 cups of flour. Once we turn our mixer on, we're going to let that mix for 8 minutes. And this dough is absolutely amazing. It's so soft. Once it's done with that 8-minute mix, it is wonderful. In the recipe, it does not say that the bread needs to proof but 1 time. So I will just mix it for the 8 minutes. Then I'm going to come over and knead it a little bit on my kneading mat here. And I'm spraying a couple of pans here because I wasn't sure if it would make 1 or 2 loaves. It just makes 1 nice loaf, but that's perfect for our family because it's just Wayne and myself. I do experiment with another bread recipe here in a minute with a sourdough starter, but we're going to knead that. We're just going to sprinkle a little bit of flour on our mat here, and we're just going to knead that for just a second. We're going to shape it and put it into our loaf pan. Simple, simple. I really like this recipe because it come together so quickly. The rise time was 1 hour. You let it rise for 1 hour, and it is the perfect amount of rise time for that. And I guess if in some sourdoughs you don't have to add yeast, but I wanted to bake this today, so we will add the yeast because I didn't want to wait for hours and hours for it to proof long enough and rise. So I just knead this for just a minute, and then I put it into my loaf pan. And then we're going to cover it with a wet towel and let it rise for 1 hour. Like I said, it's a very soft, wonderful dough. And this is going to be my new go-to bread recipe. It is absolutely delicious. And we're just going to cover that up and let that double in size, which it says to let it rise 1 hour, and that's about it doubled in 1 hour. I put a wet towel on it and set it aside. This next recipe is a Hawaiian bread recipe, and it uses sourdough also. I guess somehow my video got messed up for the start of this, so I posted the recipe in there. And we're going to mix that up. I'll also post the recipe in the description to both of these bread recipes. The Hawaiian bread turned out really good. It is a little sweeter than the regular sourdough, but you know, I could see using it. I don't think that I would make it as often as I would make this regular sourdough though, because like I said, it is absolutely delicious. I do end up having to add a little bit more flour to this one. I think it called for 5 to 6 cups, and I think I ended up having to add 7.5 to get it to just a sticky dough consistency so that I could work it. But I don't know if maybe me adding that extra flour played a role in it not rising as good as the other or what. But like I said, it's still good. It's just not my favorite. The first one turned out absolutely phenomenal, friends. But I want to show you different ways you can use sourdough. I'm planning this week to make some sourdough crackers also. So stay tuned for that video. I finally got it to the consistency that I felt like. Well, I added another 1/2 cup at this point because it was still super sticky. But after this half a cup, it's to the consistency that I feel like it should be at, where I can actually work the dough a little bit. Where before it was just so wet and sticky, there would have been no way to actually knead it. And the recipe did say to knead the flour, or knead the dough. So anyways, I did end up adding another cup and a half beyond what the recipe had called for. And maybe that was my bad. Maybe that's where I went wrong, because it didn't get quite as big as the other. But it still tastes delicious. So anyways, we just mix that and mix that and mix that. And then we take it over and do a little kneading on our kneading mat and get that into a loaf pan. I only had one loaf pan here at home. I've taken a lot of my loaf pans to work, but I have two here at home. But I ended up just setting some of it on a pizza pan until I got that first loaf out, and then I transferred it to the loaf pan. But here you'll see it's still pretty sticky, but it's not, it's where I can actually handle it. Before it would have been just like really soupy. So that extra cup and a half made a huge difference. So I worked that dough just a little bit, and I split it in half because it has double the amount of flour that the other loaf had. And in my mind, I should have had 3 nice big loaves. I mean, they're nice, don't get me wrong, but this Hawaiian bread did not do as well as the regular sourdough. I'm just going to cut that in half, shape that into loaves, and put that into my pans and let them set for about an hour, hour and a half. Wayne and myself, we were working on, once I got this bread going, we started working on our laundry room, hanging cabinets, and so it was rising this entire time we were working. But the house between both breads smelled so wonderful. I mean, so wonderful, friends. It was so nice to have that bread baking in the oven. And I know we'll never eat all this, so I will probably take some to work. I think the Hawaiian bread would make amazing French toast. And I sell quite a bit of that, so I may take both of those loaves to make French toast with the homemade bread and see how it goes. Because it's a little sweeter, because it has the pineapple juice and stuff in it. Look at that beautiful bread, though. It's ready to go into the oven, so we get that going in. And we do a little, I've put a little milk on my brush and brushed that on top of it to give it a nice golden texture when it bakes, and it turned out perfect. I've tried the egg wash, and it does pretty good, but I wanted to give the milk one a try, and I prefer that with the bread. So look at that bread coming out of the oven. It bakes for 35 minutes on 375. I'll double check all my things, but I will put the full recipe in the description. That bread popped right out of that pan just perfectly. Friends, our little mini cabinet remodel is done in our laundry room. I'm so happy. We ended up buying 3 sets of cabinets, all of them from one individual on Marketplace. And I got all 3 sets for $45. And they are hardwood, they're real wood. They're not like my cabinets in my kitchen, but I have all my supplies for making detergent in one side. I have my other stuff off of my dryer. They didn't have cabinet doors, so I made these cute little curtains, and I put them on tension rods inside the cabinet. I am in love with it. I have not decided yet if I'm going to put stuff on top, but time will tell. I'm just so excited to have the freezer and the washer and dryer cleaned off so I can fold laundry as it comes out of the dryer, and it's just going to make everything neater and more tidy. Anyways, that's a quick little update. You can find things like this on Marketplace. The other 2 sets we had actually considered putting in here, but then when I was painting one set, I noticed it was way thicker than this set. So I decided just to let my husband have them for his shop because they're both the same thickness, and I like this thinner cabinet for in here. Anyways, he built me some just some shelves out of some scraps he had. So I would have plenty of storage space in this one cabinet. And friends, I'm just so excited. So really, when you come to think of it, material and curtain rods and everything, I might have, I gave $45 for the cabinets, $10 for the material, which I have enough to do another cabinet with, and 4 tension rods, which I gave $10 for. So I couldn't have bought this one cabinet at Home Depot for that. So I'm pretty excited. I saved a ton of money, and we actually have some left over for his shop, which makes me happy. Just pulled these other 2 loaves out. They are the Hawaiian bread. They kind of split on the side. Maybe I should have kind of slitted them, but we're going to give them a taste test also. This one is absolutely phenomenal. It's going to be my new go-to bread. Well, the regular sourdough rose quite a bit more, which maybe my loaves were a little smaller in the Hawaiian loaf. We're going to taste this. Friends, it's really good too. Really, really good. But I still prefer this one, but this would be a nice change up for, you know, just whatever. It's got a little sweeter texture, I guess, from the pineapple juice. Anyways, thank you for stopping back by our homestead. Please like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, friends, goodbye.